Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Hello, good Sunday evening, folks. Thank you for closing out your weekend with our crew. I'm Dustin Klemann. The Trump administration is backpedaling on raising the age to buy guns, but are sticking with the proposal of arming some school personnel with rigorous training. President Trump previously said he would support raising the minimum age to 21. Tonight, officials announcing that the administration will work with states on what they call rigorous firearms training for specialized qualified school personnel on a voluntary basis. Take a look at the video. Intentions to improve the information that is going into the National Instant Criminal Background Check System. That would also provide incentive for federal basis and making sure that it is complied with. Trump is proposing an expansion and overhaul of mental health programs, including those that can help identify and treat those who may be a threat to themselves or others. The administration has announced further details. We'll have that for you on KTVQ.com after the newscast. Former Vice President Joe Biden was in Montana this weekend as the keynote speaker of the Montana Democrats' annual fundraiser. Biden delivered a lengthy talk on how Democrats can repair the political fabric of America. MTN's Mike Dennison was there and has what was said.
Biden wasted no time Saturday night giving his take on what's gone wrong with politics in the age of Trump.
Today our politics is broken. It's become so mean-spirited. It's become crass. It's become demeaning. And quite frankly, it's beneath the dignity of the American people. And this is not just a speech. I mean this. It's beneath the dignity of a great people.
But he also returned many times to a theme that President Trump has emphasized himself, that the middle class of America is getting left behind.
You know, there used to be a basic bargain in America, shared by Democrats and Republicans, that if you contributed to the success of an enterprise you worked with, you got to share in the benefits. That's broken, man.
Biden said Republicans are undoing that promise by passing their huge tax cut for the wealthy, creating deficits that can be cured only by slashing programs that maintain the middle class, such as Social Security and Medicare. Biden is seen as a possible challenger to Trump in 2020, but he mentioned Trump by name only once in his 55-minute speech. That wasn't the case, however, with Montana Governor Steve Bullock, also mentioned as a possible presidential candidate in 2020. Bullock took dead aim at the president Saturday, listing off what he called an almost daily helping of scandals and embarrassments engulfing the president.
And mocks his own attorney general for doing his job, calling him Mr. Magoo. Mr. Magoo? Come on! We try to teach our kids to be honest and respectful of others. Yet we're becoming so desensitized that we expect less of our president than we do of our preschoolers.
Bullock won re-election in 2016, but his victory has been a lonely outpost of electoral success for Montana Democrats in the past few years.
Biden gave Montana Democrats their message loud and clear. Stand up for the middle class and human dignity and carry that to victory in 2018. Now, in the coming months, they'll see if that strategy is the one that works. Mike Dennison, MTN News, Helena.
And new news we're receiving tonight in regards to Democrats. Been told Kelly McCarthy will not be running here in the Magic City for the Montana House in 2018. Instead, Kelly McCarthy announcing Terry Bouck, Superintendent of School District 2, will look to run in 2018. We'll have more as that develops, both on air and online. On the other side of the aisle, former Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clarke spoke in Billings on Friday night. As Q2's David J. reports, Clarke shared his support for the Trump administration and denounced attacks on conservatives.
David Clarke meets supporters before the Lincoln Reagan Day dinner, and during his speech he praised those running for public office.
Somebody's got to step up to serve, and that's what it is. It's service. Oftentimes, too many people see it as more than service. They overstay their welcome.
He says he plays smash-mouth politics when he is criticized unfairly for his view on some of the issues.
When I hear some of the slanderous names, the mischaracterization of you folks, conservatives, Republicans, as racist, misogynist, homophobes. You know as well as I do that it's all BS.
And Clarke recognized veterans in law enforcement. He started his career with the Milwaukee Police Department in 1978 and was elected Milwaukee County Sheriff in 2002, serving in law enforcement for almost 40 years.
There's no higher honor than to wear the uniform of your nation in the military or to wear the uniform of your community in law enforcement to go out and protect and serve.
He says the swamp, the deep state, and career bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. are thwarting President Trump's vision.
We go to Congress, we go to the state legislators, and we try to win an argument and convince enough people that these are the policies that this country should be moving toward. That's dissent, that's healthy, and it keeps people honest. There's a difference between that and resistance, outright defiance of the rule of law and of the people that you and I elected, especially in the White House.
Clarke talked about the Trump administration with regard to the economy, tax cuts, deregulation, job growth, immigration, and infrastructure.
Donald Trump is a president who cares about every single American. He said in his inaugural address speech that he would always have our back and do what's best for the American people. He will put America first.
David J., MTN News, Billings.
Thank you very much, David. You can read more on KTVQ.com right now. An update to a story we brought you at 5:30. The crash that shut down traffic on Interstate 90 and trapping a Laurel elderly couple in the vehicle could be the result of a semi moving into its lane too early. On an update tonight, Montana Highway Patrol reporting the semi-truck was attempting to pass a PT Cruiser around 9:20 in the morning near the Zoo Exit Drive. The trooper said the semi moved into the driving lane, encroaching on the other driver. That's when the PT Cruiser became stuck under the trailer near the rear tires of the semi. The driver of the Cruiser is still in the hospital with severe injuries. New regulations that will have a negative impact on Montana's livestock industry are just a few days away from being implemented. In tonight's Montana Ag feature, MTN's Russell Nimitz tells us why both livestock producers and livestock haulers are concerned.
I'm not sure the producers, I'm not sure a lot of the people in this part of the world understand the severity of this, but in my mind, it's the number one thing that we're facing in the livestock industry right now.
New regulations regarding electronic logging devices have yet to be fully implemented by livestock haulers, but time is running out. Billings, Montana cattleman and auction market owner Joe Goggins says a lot is at stake for ranchers in this region.
This transportation thing could really affect the value of these cattle that are over 11, 12, 13 hours from the Corn Belt.
It's not just the cattle industry that'll be affected either. Big Sandy, Montana rancher Stan Weaver is an officer with the American Quarter Horse Association and says those who haul horses will also be subject to these new ELD regulations.
We look at it as a really bad animal welfare issue. You know, if these cattle trucks or horse trucks have to rest for 10 hours, you know, they're going to be flooding these truck stops and rest areas. So and then these cattle and horses are going to be sitting there. And even in a horse trailer, they're affected by this. And it'll affect our shows. It would devastate college rodeo and pro rodeo. This is serious. People need to get involved.
Groups like the Livestock Marketing Association, AQHA, and others are all working desperately to get more time because, among other concerns, the technology is also far from perfect.
They're having trouble with this ELD thing. The devices haven't been working right. They haven't been... There's a lot of issues with it, and right now they're fighting desperately trying to get us a stay to this to where we can address these hours of use. What we need to do, and they need to call these senators, and I mean get after them, the senators, representatives, the next week, and tell them the severity. It's too late after it's done.
So unless something changes between now and March 18th, livestock haulers like this are going to have a whole new set of rules to play by. Russell Nimitz, MTN News, Billings.
We'll be following that as it develops if any changes come to that delay of the 90-day proposal. We go to weather now. Brett McCrummon joining us. It was a pretty darn good day on the weather front.
It was. We saw a little more melting, but temperatures were still below average for this time of year.
We'll take what we can get.
Well, we're going to take a change in that. We're going
Yes.
to see some warmer temperatures. Let's go ahead and take a look at the almanac and show you we saw a daytime high today of 37 degrees. The average high is 47, so we had a 10-degree difference there. The overnight low fell to 15 degrees. That was well below our average temperature of 26. 73, the high set back in 2005, and minus 11 set back in 1956. As far as precipitation goes, 0 for today, just under 5/10 for the month, and 2 3/4 inches for the year so far. More moisture, well, we're probably going to have to wait until the weekend, but we'll see warmer temperatures as we look towards Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll have your complete forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Brett, I don't think people will complain about the sunny skies for just a little bit. Still ahead on the Q2 10 o'clock news, a new movie looking for Montanans to be cast and even be a part of. Story about the Unabomber. You want to stick around for that story coming up next. And later in sports, MSUB is 24 hours away from one of the biggest games in its program history. We catch up with the Lady Jackets in Cali